With his cultivation level, he could clearly sense the unimaginable toxicity contained within those 9 drops of poisonous liquid. Just a single drop was enough to completely corrode both his physical body and essence spirit, leaving nothing behind. What truly made his scalp tingle, however, was the overwhelming presence of worship souls within those 9 drops. These devotional souls had been tainted by poison, transformed into poisonous souls, forcibly refined and sealed within the liquid. They radiated endless resentment and a devastating urge to destroy the heavens and earth. He dared not move, not in the slightest. Today's battle had progressed too quickly, with shocking twists at every turn. First, he had not expected Ling Dong to appear. Even more unexpected was Ling Dong stepping into the half-step realm. If that were all, he might have still stood a chance. Even after most of his escape routes had been sealed by the ancient breath leaves, he retained some strength to resist. But the sudden appearance of those 9 drops of poisonous liquid nearly shattered his will. The terrifying aura emanating from the poison made Zhou Jin of the Fontian Wolf clan break out in goosebumps. Seeing Zhou Jin trapped and his face pale, Wang Lin's eyes flashed. He slowly spoke, "Ling Dong." The spirit agile sage stepped forward, halting Tinzhong away from Wang Lin. He dropped to one knee in midair, eyes blazing with fanatical reverence, and said, "Master, shall I kill him, or refine him?" The word "master" echoed in Zhou Jin's ears, leaving him stunned, barely able to believe what he had just heard. A third-step great power, one of the strongest beings in this starry sky, rare and renowned, was actually calling someone else master? And not just anyone, but someone who hadn't even reached the third step? Refine him. Wang Lin commanded with a sweeping motion of his hand. The celestial emperor furnace immediately shifted. 18 ancient breath leaves surged forth and sealed themselves onto the furnace, their contained souls spreading out and beginning the refining process. With Wang Lin's aid, the spirit agile sage had already stepped from his worship realm into the poison sea realm. Now seated cross-legged in midair, he began assisting in the soul refining into servitude technique. But unlike Ling Dong back then, Zhou Jin had truly entered the third step realm. Refining him would not be easy. Even the Dream Dao art required exhausting the opponent's mind and spirit before success could be assured. Now, Zhou Jin was suppressed inside the Celestial Emperor Furnace, guarded by the Spirit Agile Sage, sealed with the ancient breath leaves, and, most critically, surrounded by those 9 drops of poison. Wang Lin was fully confident that Zhou Jin could not escape his grasp. There were only 9 drops of that poison. Wang Lin had no intention of wasting them. Their threat and encirclement had already served their purpose. Besides, he never planned to kill Zhou Jin with poison. If he could refine him into an ancient slave, then once Wang Lin returned to the inner realm, he would have 2 third-step great power servants at his side. Should his old foe, the Water Path Master, see this, he would surely be struck with terror and flee without hesitation. A flash lit up Wang Lin's forehead as the ancient God Star mark appeared and rotated. The Celestial Emperor Furnace was drawn inside his brow. Hovering in midair, he looked down toward the ground below. The forest of withered trees had now been mostly emptied out, with only about 100 trees remaining on the outskirts. At the center, the vortex from which the greedy wolf had emerged from the ancient tomb remained completely unaffected, still hovering in place. Wang Lin hesitated slightly. He had intended to take the entire forest, along with the buried ancient god's skull, but wasn't certain whether doing so would cause the teleportation vortex to disappear. If it vanished, it would be a great loss. This vortex was of great importance to Wang Lin. Though his divine sense could not confirm whether it would lead to the ancient star of antiquity, he could tell it definitely had teleportation properties. After some thought, Wang Lin decided not to act rashly. Instead, he formed a complex series of hand seals. Numerous restriction seals materialized and surged into the sky, layering themselves to form a massive sealing array. It took him several days to seal every last aspect of the area. Only then did he turn and take a step, leaving the forest and the realm it occupied. When he reappeared, he was once again within the mist of the ancient tomb. There, he cast more restriction seals to surround it from the outside. Only after doing so did he finally feel at ease. Now the entire realm housing the forest was thoroughly sealed inside and out. Even if someone stumbled across the ancient breath leaves and made their way here, it would be impossible to break through the seal in a short time, and it was filled with peril besides. Wang Lin was very confident in his sealing techniques. Once finished, his eyes gleamed as he saw the flowing moonstone gate shimmer and shift. Time began to flow, and he infused the seal with the power of the time seal, strengthening it even further. With everything complete, Wang Lin turned his gaze to the fifth-order burial platform of that Fengtian Wolf Clan warrior. With a wave of his hand, the platform roared and shuddered as numerous runes lifted from it and flew toward Wang Lin. As the runes approached, Wang Lin retrieved his own fifth-order burial platform. While absorbing the runes, it trembled violently and suddenly expanded outward, quickly reaching 6,000 zhang in size. Standing atop the platform, Wang Lin immediately felt a familiar divine sense surge into his mind. Another map had appeared in his mental sea, and in that instant, a solemn voice echoed through his consciousness. Ninth order is the end. The original Tao holds the celestial, earthly, and human mansions. The human mansion contains the sword of benevolence and harmony. This sword has followed the Tao through a lifetime of slaughter, becoming the most fearsome blade in the world. Because of the slaughter, it turned demonic. Thus, the Tao left 3 seals upon it. The voice faded away. Wang Lin's expression remained calm. After a moment, his eyes flashed as he controlled the 6,000 zhang wide burial platform beneath him, sending it surging forward and gradually vanishing into the surrounding mist. He sped ahead at full force, and faintly, Wang Lin could sense the presence of several other burial platforms ahead. These platforms clearly belonged to cultivators who had reached the 5th order or higher. Their positions were far ahead of him. Among them, the one in the lead, based on Wang Lin's analysis, had already reached the area marked on the 8th map. 9 maps in total, Wang Lin mused. From Dao Guyema's words, the goal wasn't to be the first to enter the 9th map, but rather to be the first to transform one's burial platform into a 9th order one. At my current speed, I can't overtake those ahead of me. He sat cross-legged atop the platform, eyes thoughtful. After a long while, he touched his brow, a glint of clarity appearing in his gaze. Everyone within this ancient tomb has a numerical marking. Everyone except me. If Tuasan is also here, he likely doesn't have one either. I am an ancient god. That's probably why I could enter this place without needing a mark. Then what exactly is this numerical marking for? His eyes narrowed. As if grasping at a thread of understanding, Wang Lin slapped the surface of the platform with his right hand. A numeric rune immediately rose up, and he caught it in his palm. Since entering the ancient tomb, Wang Lin had always been passive, manipulated and guided by a mysterious force. Even the appearance of that massive hand seemed orchestrated. This sense of being controlled made him deeply uneasy. Now, for the first time, Wang Lin focused intently on the significance of the numerical markings within this tomb. Staring at the rune, he began to frown. Time passed. Wang Lin allowed the burial platform to continue forward, crossing from the 5th map into the 6th. In his hand, the runes changed hundreds of times, each one scrutinized carefully. These runes contain a strange power. It seems their purpose is to let one temporarily exist within this place. Without them, Wang Lin extended his right hand into the void and made a grabbing motion. Instantly, the young woman from the Seal Annihilation clan floated before him. Though her clan mark had already been taken, there was still a faint brand between her brows. That brand was a numerical marking. The woman's eyes were shut tight, as if in deep sleep. Wang Lin stared at her forehead. After a long silence, he raised his right hand, ancient god power spreading across his palm, and gently brushed her brow. Her body trembled slightly, but even after Wang Lin withdrew his hand, the numerical marking remained intact. He fell silent, then opened his storage dimension and retrieved the soul bottle. With a slap of his hand, a piercing wail echoed as an ancient demon soul flew out. Wang Lin immediately grabbed it. With a fierce squeeze, the demon soul let out a final shriek before dissolving into a swirling mass of ancient demon power, coiling around Wang Lin's right hand. His gaze sharpened as ancient god power surged within him, merging into the right hand alongside the demon power. Time passed, but the fusion remained incomplete. It could not reach perfection. Something was missing. Ancient demon power. Wang Lin's eyes grew brighter. With a sweep of his left hand, a gourd flew out from the storage dimension. This was an item gifted to him by a desperate cultivator at the first sealing ground. Wang Lin had scanned it with his divine sense and confirmed that it was an ancient demon artifact containing a limited amount of ancient demon power. Without hesitation, he struck the gourd. Instantly, thick demon aura poured out, starting to coalesce. Before it could fully form, Wang Lin's left hand enveloped a portion and pressed it into the fusion of ancient demon power and ancient god power on his right hand. In that instant, the auras of the three ancient clans gathered together. On Wang Lin's right hand, they fully merged into a single force, something utterly unique. This power far surpassed that of ancient gods, ancient demons, and ancient demons alike. Holding it, Wang Lin felt as though he was gripping the very fabric of heaven and earth. Without hesitation, he raised his right hand and pressed it once more against the Seal Annihilation girl's brow. Suddenly, her eyes snapped open, and a blood-curdling scream escaped her lips. At the same time, the numerical marking on her forehead was completely wiped away by Wang Lin's palm. Now stripped of the numerical marking, the girl's body began to tremble violently. In the next breath, the surrounding mist seemed to boil, surging from every direction in a wild torrent toward her. It was as though her very existence now clashed with the laws of the ancient tomb, triggering a violent reaction from the tomb itself, intent on erasing this aberration. The change was too sudden. Even Wang Lin hadn't anticipated it. In a heartbeat, the mist engulfed the girl, and she vanished from before him. Interesting. Wang Lin murmured, glancing at the numerical marking he had taken from the forehead of the girl from the Seal Annihilation clan. He set it aside and let the burial platform race forward. After some time, he took out an ancient demon soul, crushed it into ancient demon power, and merged it with his own ancient god power. At the same time, he drew out some ancient demon aura from his gourd. The three forces quickly fused, and at the moment of perfect integration, Wang Lin struck his forehead without hesitation. With a thunderous boom, Wang Lin's body trembled violently. His primordial energy surged, and his face instantly turned pale, but his eyes shone brightly. At this moment, a swirling vortex of aura, formed from the fusion of the three ancient clans, emerged at his brow, bringing with it a wave of piercing pain, as if a sharp awl were drilling into his skull. After a while, the pain gradually faded, and on Wang Lin's forehead, a numerical marking had clearly appeared. The instant the mark appeared, the surrounding mist roared and surged violently, accompanied by a low, beast-like growl. It spread rapidly, as if trying to devour Wang Lin and the 6,000 zhang burial platform beneath him. It was as if his actions had disrupted the immutable laws of the ancient tomb. Like the girl from the Seal Annihilation clan, he was about to be erased from existence by the tomb itself. But in that critical moment, Wang Lin's right hand suddenly swiped across his forehead, forcefully tearing off the newly formed marking. As it was removed, his face turned even paler, and his breath grew unsteady. Lifting his head sharply, he stared intently into the mist around him, watching its movements and ready to strike back at any sign of danger. Strangely enough, as soon as the mark was torn away, the mist began to settle. It gradually receded, pulling back into the distance. After a long silence, Wang Lin's laughter echoed through the mist. Staring at the numerical marking in his hand, he had confirmed something vital. Within this ancient tomb, his identity as an ancient god meant that no marking had originally existed on his forehead. Yet it was still possible to generate one, by fusing the auras of the three ancient clans. And precisely because of this, he would not be erased like the girl from the Seal Annihilation clan after removing the mark. He was never supposed to have one to begin with. This marking is merely a seal gifted by the ancient tomb to all who are not of the three ancient clans, allowing them to exist here temporarily. This place is the ancient burial ground. Only those of the three ancient clans can enter. Outsiders must possess this mark to remain. Likewise, once that mark disappears, they are immediately erased by the tomb. The reason those of the three ancient clans don't carry the mark, while the focus here lies in raising the rank of the burial platform, is to push the descendants of the clans to slay outsiders and seize their markings. These outsiders aren't here to inherit legacies, they are the trial. Only I am the true trial taker. If Tua Sin arrives, he too will become a participant. But Tua Sin is arrogantly reckless and somewhat muddle-headed. He may not realize this crucial truth. Wang Lin looked down at the mark in his hand, placed it onto the burial platform, and immediately it merged into it, becoming one. Killing to seize marks isn't the only path. I can't compare with those ancient monsters in time or means, but I have another way. A smile crossed Wang Lin's face as he once more fused the three clan auras into that mysterious energy, pressing it onto his forehead without hesitation. The moment the brand reformed, he quickly dug it out again. 1, 2, 10, 30. In the blink of an eye, nearly 100 numerical markings were formed through his body and infused into the platform beneath him. Because of his repeated actions, the surrounding mist became even more turbulent, clouds rolling and howling intensifying. Yet Wang Lin timed everything perfectly, leaving the mist no chance to reach him. In this near rule-breaking manner, Wang Lin, over just a few hours, condensed hundreds of numerical markings, each merging into the burial platform beneath him. With a deafening boom, the platform, having already surpassed the standard after absorbing all the markings of the Fontian Wolf Clan warrior, now met the criteria for the 7th order thanks to Wang Lin's extreme method. Under the roaring sounds, the platform beneath Wang Lin began expanding rapidly. Dust within the mist was pulled inward, gathering from all directions, causing the platform to grow beyond its previous 6,000 zhang size. 6,300, 6,700, until finally 7,000 zhang. A 7th order burial platform. A platform of 7,000 zhang was a colossal sight. From afar, it looked like a floating continent emerging from the mist. As it appeared, the surrounding fog seemed swept away by a storm, refusing to approach, retreating in unison. Waves of golden light radiated from the platform, shining tens of thousands of zhang like a blazing sun. The mist withdrew even further. Some tendrils of fog retreated too slowly and were instantly vaporized under the golden light, utterly annihilated. A new map suddenly activated within Wang Lin's mind. But his focus wasn't on the map. It was on the voice echoing through his consciousness, now speaking for the 3rd time. The underworld is for souls. I of the original Tao have slain 3 immortal venerables in my lifetime and imprisoned their souls within the underworld. My intent was to refine them into a doppelganger of myself. In the future, one may obtain them, yet these 3 souls are immensely powerful. If you are not absolutely confident, do not release them. In life, these 3 were figures of immense renown. As the voice faded, Wang Lin's spirit stirred. At last, he understood what the underworld referenced in that first utterance truly was. As for the sword of benevolence and harmony within the human mansion, he now had a suspicion. At the very moment Wang Lin's burial platform advanced to the 7th order, deep within the 8th map, the 9 Heavens Demon Venerable, who sat cross-legged on a newly formed 7th order burial platform, suddenly opened his eyes wide. He stood up abruptly and looked behind him. Who is this person? To have reached the 7th order, including myself, 6 people have activated their platforms. 1 was erased and absorbed by this person, allowing their platform to ascend to the 6th order. And yet, in such a short time, he advanced again to the 7th. His expression turned grim, unable to make sense of it. I was able to ascend by killing and seizing talismans with my many doppelgangers outside. He must have a similar method. 7th order. I'm not impressed yet. My own burial platform is close to reaching the 8th order. Let's see which of us is faster. With a cold hum, the 9 Heavens Demon Venerable sat back down in silence. Elsewhere on the 8th map, though not in the mist sea but high above its swirling fog, another burial platform, on the verge of becoming 7th order, was racing through the sky. Atop it stood a woman in white. Her brows furrowed, eyes filled with confusion. She, too, had sensed that strange event, yet could not decipher its cause. Who could it be? I relied on a secret art to absorb the scattered runes within this ancient tomb, allowing my platform to ascend. But this person advanced 2 levels in such a short time. How did they do it? Who is he? Rubbing her temples, she began to think rapidly, only for her platform to suddenly tremble. In an instant, it had absorbed enough runes to expand and reach the 7th order. The unexpected change disrupted her train of thought. On the 9th map, where spatial turbulence was even denser, a near-infinite chaos swirled. Tua Sin was forced to slow down, his expression twisted with fury as he pushed forward. Damn this ancient tomb. Damn that Dao ancient. What a shitty inheritance. So hard to obtain. Dao Gu Yima, I'm one of your clan. If you won't give the inheritance to me, who else would you give it to? Behind him, atop a 7th order burial platform, a seductive woman now wore a solemn expression. She no longer flaunted her charms. Her eyes flickered with scheming light as she glanced back. Another 7th order has appeared, but still far from the 9th. I've already entered the 9th map, and with Tua Sin's sensing ability, I must be ahead of the others. Those 3 immortal venerables in the underworld, perhaps others can't control them, but I have the confidence. Besides, Yima wasn't entirely honest. There's something else in the underworld besides the 3 immortal venerables, something even that old freak coveted. A glint of greed flashed in her eyes. No one could have guessed how Wang Lin had managed to accelerate his platform's advancement so rapidly. Without pause, now that it had reached the 7th order, he once again used the same method to gather runes. The runes continually merged into the platform, pushing it toward the 8th order at a breakneck pace. Wang Lin's technique was already masterful. With a wave of his hand, a rune imprint would form on his forehead, only to be wiped away and infused into the platform moments later. Hours passed, and a terrifying number of runes had accumulated on the platform. There were plenty of ancient demon souls stored inside the demon soul vase, enough to fuel this pace. His ancient god power could be regenerated, but his supply of ancient demon power was limited. The aura within his gourd was nearly depleted. Thankfully, within his storage dimension, he had acquired several ancient demon artifacts from the tomb. To extract their aura, Wang Lin didn't hesitate to destroy them one by one. This barely allowed him to keep up with the rune condensation process. Several hours later, the final ancient demon artifact collapsed. Extracting the last trace of aura, he pressed it into his forehead, forming a rune that fused into the platform. At that instant, the burial platform trembled violently. Golden light flared madly across its surface, and it swelled in size once more. The surrounding mist violently retreated, the entire mist sea churning. As Wang Lin's platform expanded, it surged past 8,000 zhang in the blink of an eye. An 8th order burial platform, the first one in the entire ancient tomb. With its emergence, the mist sea roared and surged outward in all directions. It was like a tidal wave, unleashing a deafening boom that echoed through the entire tomb, reaching every map. In that very instant, every cultivator within the ancient tomb felt the intense turbulence of the surrounding mist. An unknown fear rapidly took root and spread. A group of several dozen cultivators had been trapped within the 3rd map, besieged by a swarm of fierce beasts. They fought with all their might, but just then, the fog surged violently like crashing waves. As it swept forward, the humanoid beasts suddenly showed terror in their eyes. Before they could retreat, the fog struck them like a colossal invisible hand, slamming into them. One by one, they were crushed to death with a deafening crash. The cultivators were no more fortunate. Powerless to dodge, they could only watch in horror as the wave of fog howled toward them. In the blink of an eye, it swept through their bodies, and the booming roar drowned out even their dying screams. Within the 4th map, a burial platform that had reached the 3rd order was speeding forward. Atop it stood a pale-faced cultivator, eyes full of panic as he glanced repeatedly over his shoulder. In the distance behind him, 3 other burial platforms were giving chase, aiming to seize the runes of his platform. But in that moment, the mist sea roared to life, churning violently. A massive wave suddenly rose and crashed down upon the fleeing cultivator's burial platform. It offered no resistance, shattering instantly. The cultivator on it was swallowed whole by the mist sea. This sudden turn of events left the 3 pursuers aghast. They instinctively tried to retreat, but the mist sea was even faster. Another wave slammed forward, and all 3 of them, along with their burial platforms, were annihilated. Scenes like this played out again and again within the ancient tomb, each claiming more lives. But for the few lucky enough to survive, what awaited them was a stunning surprise. Within the mist sea, as the number of dead cultivators grew, the numeric runes began flashing rapidly, and the survivors went mad scrambling to seize them. Among these contenders, none could compare to the great Baron Sage. His burial platform had already reached a formidable level. Now, as he seized more runes, it instantly advanced, becoming a 5th order burial platform. The moment his platform reached the 5th order, he sensed the presence of the others. A change appeared in his expression. At the edge of the 8th map, the 9 Heavens demon Venerable had just calmed his confusion while guiding his 7th order burial platform forward. Suddenly, his face twisted in shock and disbelief. His platform froze in midair for the first time. It halted entirely. "Impossible," he exclaimed, eyes filled with dread. He had clearly sensed that a burial platform that had only just reached the 7th order a few hours ago had now advanced again, becoming an 8th order burial platform. The very first 8th order burial platform. This development shattered his expectations. Stunned, he stood in disbelief. Had he not felt it directly from within the burial platform, he wouldn't have believed it possible. In less than a single day, this person advanced from the 5th to the 8th order. This, the 9 Heavens demon Venerable gasped, dumbstruck. He had been so confident that he would be the first to reach the 8th order. But this dramatic turn had shaken him to his core. Who is this person? Killing intent and apprehension flashed in his eyes. After a brief pause, he abruptly changed direction, steering his platform away from the front, racing backwards at full speed. I must see for myself who this cultivator is. 8th order. 8th order. If I kill him and claim his platform, my chances will soar. And if I uncover the secret behind his rapid ascension, then the celestial mansion of Dao Gu Yima will be mine alone. High above the mist sea in the 8th map, a white-robed woman stood on her burial platform, face dark with suspicion. Her platform, too, had come to a halt. After a brief silence, she let out a cold snort and, like the 9 heavens demon Venerable, turned her platform around, flying directly toward the newly ascended 8th Order burial platform, guided by an unseen pull. She knew perfectly well, if she couldn't uncover how this mysterious person had advanced so quickly, then within a few more hours, they might become the first to reach the 9th Order. That was something she, like the 9 heavens demon Venerable, absolutely could not allow. Within the 9th map, the woman standing on the burial platform behind Tuasin had already risen to her feet. Gone was any trace of charm, her face was now consumed by killing intent. This person must be eliminated. And if I can't obtain the method behind this rapid advancement, then no one else will. A flash of murderous resolve passed through her eyes. She ignored Tuasin completely and steered her burial platform in the same direction, straight back. The tides of fate surged, and in this instant, every force turned toward a single person, Wang Lin. At that moment, Wang Lin sat cross-legged atop a colossal burial platform spanning 8,000 zhang. It radiated an intense golden light, like a blazing sun. The surrounding mist parted and flowed with its presence, retreating before it. In his mind, the 8th map unfolded fully, revealing a massive portion of the ancient burial ground, its layout now laid bare before Wang Lin's eyes. And in that very instant, the timeless voice rang out for the 4th time, ancient and distant. Heaven, earth, and man, 3 mansions. The heavenly mansion holds the inheritance of the original Tao. When my clan members push their cultivation to the limit, they may receive the inheritance and return to the ancient path. Then leave this world behind and journey to my ancestral homeland, to seek the clan of the original Tao. As the sound echoed and gradually faded, growing weaker, Wang Lin immediately felt more clearly than anyone else that within this ancient tomb, there were 3 7th Order burial platforms rapidly approaching his position. He further sensed that within the 5th map behind him, a 5th Order burial platform had just been born, and from the aura of the one on the platform, Wang Lin instantly guessed, it must be the Great Wasteland. At this moment, the Great Wasteland Sage was also speeding forward, heading straight for him. In less than a day, the burial platform has risen 3 ranks, scaring these people. Now they're here to find answers and to kill me, Wang Lin said with an expression as usual, a faint cold smile tugging at his lips. On the 8th Order burial platform, he could clearly sense the exact position of his pursuers, but their search for him was somewhat vague, they knew only the general direction. It's a pity the ancient demon artifacts are nearly exhausted. There's only one left, but even using it won't be enough to push the burial platform to the 9th rank. After reaching the 8th rank, the burial platform seemed like an endless abyss. Wang Lin vaguely guessed that the requirement for the necessary runes was immense. According to the rules of the ancient tomb, Wang Lin needed to kill all the pursuers and steal their burial platforms, merging them into his own, to elevate his platform to the 9th rank. But this method, Wang Lin would naturally not consider. With a cold smile, he shifted his body, controlling the burial platform to speed ahead. The speed of the 8th Order burial platform rivaled a 3rd step great power. Its speed far surpassed that of a 7th Order platform. Furthermore, since Wang Lin could accurately sense the position of his pursuers, he was confident they wouldn't catch up in the short term. Now, I need to search for anything related to the ancient demons, using my own method to quickly raise the burial platform to the 9th rank. Let's see who's faster, me or them. As his burial platform raced forward, roaring loudly, the golden light surged, quickly dispersing the mist ahead. Without the mist in the way, Wang Lin's speed only increased. He clearly knew where his advantage lay. He was the first to reach the 8th Order burial platform and the first to open the 8th map. While the others were still groping their way through the 8th map, Wang Lin needed no such trial. Every route and sealed ground within the map were already stored in his mind. Right now, it's all about speed. Wang Lin didn't hesitate, wasting no time at all. With his platform racing ahead, he crossed his legs, closed his eyes, and fully sensed the position of his pursuers. The roaring continued as Wang Lin skillfully maneuvered, and the 4 people charging toward him were instantly bypassed, allowing him to break free from the 6th map and enter the 7th map. The 9 heavens demon Venerable was also within this 7th map. His face darkened as he realized his target was slipping away, as though Wang Lin had the ability to know his exact position in advance, just like an eel avoiding capture. It must be the 8th order burial platform that allows him to more clearly perceive the presence of others. The Nine Heavens Demon Venerable's eyes flashed as he formed a seal with his hands and slammed them onto his burial platform. The platform roared and surged forward at a terrifying speed. The woman in white and the seductive woman were also racing through the ancient tomb, steadily closing the distance to Wang Lin. As for the Great Wasteland Sage, although his platform was only 5th order, as a third-step great power, he could somehow make the platform move faster, chasing Wang Lin. Within the 7th map, as Wang Lin continued forward, he suddenly opened his eyes. He clearly felt 2 distinct auras still approaching from not far away, one to the left, one to the right, heading straight toward him. His gaze flickered. Suddenly, his burial platform halted, no longer moving forward. Instead, it shot upwards, rising tens of thousands of feet in an instant. The 2 auras on either side quickly altered course and pursued him upwards. Before they could reach him, Wang Lin could already sense the mist around him being compressed, accompanied by a rumbling sound. With a cold smile, Wang Lin's burial platform suddenly stopped rising and tilted forward, plunging ahead like a dive, roaring as it went. Wang Lin stood up, gazing behind him with eyes that gleamed with cold light. Taking a deep breath, he raised his hands and swung them sharply backward. In that instant, millions of marks rapidly materialized in the air. The mist raged around him as a sea of fire suddenly appeared behind Wang Lin. From within that fiery sea, a massive umbrella began to materialize, the handle, the ribs, and the canopy, all appearing one by one. The Burning World Ancient Umbrella. Wang Lin shouted as the massive umbrella fully manifested, revealing itself within the mist. Umbrella open, world annihilation. Wang Lin spat a mouthful of blood, and the blood instantly burst into flames, charging toward the umbrella. In that moment, the umbrella began to open, revealing a 20% opening. As the umbrella opened, an apocalyptic fire erupted from beneath it, blasting outward in all directions. At this moment, a 7th order burial platform appeared on the left, with the Nine Heavens Demon Venerable's figure faintly visible within the mist. On the right, another 7th order platform appeared, and the woman in white, her gaze like lightning, froze for a moment upon seeing Wang Lin. The surrounding mist was engulfed by the sea of flames, instantly igniting. The burning mist recoiled, forming a more ferocious storm, accompanied by a thunderous, overwhelming sound. The figure of the Nine Heavens Demon Venerable suddenly appeared within the mist, his expression slightly serious. Even for him, facing this world-destroying firestorm, it would be fine if his true body were here. But the current avatar, suppressed in power, had no choice but to temporarily retreat from the fiery onslaught. His figure suddenly retreated. As for the woman in white, her expression changed several times in an instant. It was unclear what she was thinking, but she lowered her head and also stepped back. Both of them retreated, and Wang Lin wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. With the force from the opening of the world-destroying umbrella, he shot forward, swiftly covering a great distance in an instant, crossing through the 7th map and entering the 8th. However, just as he was about to step into it, the Nine Heavens Demon Venerable's gaze pierced through the distance. It was as if he could see through all the voids, clearly locking onto Wang Lin. He raised his right hand slightly to his brow and muttered softly, "As long as I can see you. As long as your figure appears before my eyes, no matter how far you are from me, even if a mountain that cannot be crossed, a mountain of destruction, separates us, I can still kill you." Mountain separation finger to immortal. The Nine Heavens Demon Venerable's right hand, which had been resting on his brow, suddenly lifted and fiercely pointed forward. At the moment he pointed, Wang Lin's figure appeared in his pupils, recreating the action of earlier when he used the ancient umbrella. As the Demon Venerable's finger struck, Wang Lin's figure in his gaze immediately distorted, as though an eerie force was invading, attempting to tear it apart. But at the moment the Nine Heavens Demon Venerable executed this ancient Tao art, second only to the moon harvesting from the well, in the ancient stars of antiquity, a woman in white nearby suddenly raised her head. A hint of determination flashed in her beautiful eyes. With a graceful wave of her jade hand in the air, she softly chanted, "3 celestial gates, sun, moon, and stars, open the stargate." As her words left her mouth, she quickly made a gesture with her right hand, and suddenly, countless stars appeared in front of the Nine Heavens Demon Venerable. These stars intertwined and coalesced into a giant gate, resembling the sky itself. The appearance of this gate was strikingly similar to the 3rd step gate of Void, though its substance was clearly different. The moment this star gate appeared, It collided with the force of the Nine Heavens Demon Venerable's finger. In the blink of an eye, the two Dao powers clashed. Silent and without any disturbance, the Stargate shook and gradually collapsed, disintegrating into starlight and disappearing into the ancient tomb. At the same time, the Nine Heavens Demon Venerable spat a mouthful of blood. His face turned pale, and he staggered back several hundred paces before suddenly looking up, fixing his gaze on the woman in white. "Why does the immortal consort block this venerable?" he asked. The woman in white, though slightly pale, remained calm and unmoving, her expression as serene as water. She spoke slowly. "Does this palace need to explain to you? What do you think you are?" The Nine Heavens Demon Venerable stared at her for a moment, his expression gradually calming. He showed no trace of anger and even smiled faintly, shaking his head as he turned away, bypassing her and heading straight toward the 8th map. The woman in white frowned, her gaze returning to the spot where Wang Lin had disappeared. She sighed softly, then took a step forward. As soon as Wang Lin stepped into the 8th map, he immediately felt a chill. A strong sense of impending danger rapidly spread through his mind. Without hesitation, he pointed his right hand to his brow, and instantly, the celestial emperor furnace materialized, enveloping his body as it surged into the 8th map. The moment he entered, the danger vanished. Wang Lin turned and looked back for a moment, then without hesitation, directed the burial platform forward, heading deeper into the map. Not long after, the Nine Heavens Demon Venerable entered as well. This map was unfamiliar to him, and after a brief pause, he relied on his instincts to continue his pursuit. Meanwhile, a seductive woman from the 8 consorts stood on the burial platform, entering from the 9th map into the 8th. Among all those in the ancient tomb, no one knew this 8th map better than Wang Lin. Moving swiftly through the map, Wang Lin passed by 3 sealed locations. Interestingly, these 3 places were all marked with ancient script: God, Demon, and Devil. If it were a normal time, Wang Lin would have chosen the sealed location marked with the ancient god, but now, without hesitation, he made a beeline for the ancient demon seal. With a clear target in mind, Wang Lin wasted no time and, after 1 hour, approached the sealed location of the ancient demon. At that moment, the Nine Heavens Demon Venerable and the others, guided by their senses, were slowly closing in. Wang Lin calculated they would catch up in half an hour. Half an hour later, they would begin their pursuit. Half an incense sticks time is tight. Wang Lin's eyes gleamed. As he sped forward, he saw a massive vortex ahead, tens of thousands of zhang wide. From within came a deep, rumbling roar, and a heavy aura of ancient demon energy filled the air. Even before approaching, the sheer intensity of it was enough to make one's soul tremble. And as he neared it, Wang Lin distinctly sensed a boundless vitality pulsing within that demonic aura. A living ancient demon. He drew in a sharp breath. His eyes locked onto the vortex, where at its very core, amid a swirling chaotic vortex, a faint silhouette sat cross-legged in meditation. Outside the vortex, a seal hovered, its presence the only thing keeping the ancient demon confined, as if locked in eternal slumber. The demonic aura here was thick and potent. The life force it carried made Wang Lin certain this creature wasn't just alive, it was immensely powerful. If not a 9-star ancient demon, then at least an 8-star. His brow furrowed briefly but quickly relaxed. A cold smirk crept to his lips. Leaping carefully from the burial platform, he retrieved it, then stepped into the vortex. The moment he entered, a deafening howl filled his ears. The demonic aura surged like countless silken strands, lashing around his body, trying to tear his flesh apart. After advancing only 100 zhang, Wang Lin found it almost impossible to move forward. That 100 zhang was but a tiny fraction of the distance to the vortex's core. His eyes flickered. At the center of his brow, an ancient god star mark suddenly appeared, spinning rapidly as ancient god power surged through his body. With a low growl and clenched teeth, he took several more steps, each one spanning hundreds of zhang. In the blink of an eye, he reached 1,000 zhang into the vortex, near his limit. Though he still had strength to push further, Wang Lin didn't. Instead, he sat cross-legged inside the vortex. After a brief adjustment of his breath, his right hand formed a seal, and the demon soul vase appeared. Drawing out the demon soul within, he channeled it into his ancient god power. At the same time, he reached out with his left hand and grabbed a wisp of the howling ancient demon aura that surged around him. The 3 forces fused rapidly. That strange power emerged once again. Wang Lin pressed it swiftly to his forehead, where glowing runes flickered to life, only to be wiped off and stored away the moment they formed. He repeated the process non-stop, faster and faster. Bit by bit, The ancient demon aura within the vortex was being drawn into him. The demon soul inside the demon soul vase also steadily depleted, while the number of runes he produced grew by the dozens. Time passed. Over half an incense stick's time had already gone by. Thanks to the abundant ancient demon aura, the number of numeric runes Wang Lin had created reached several thousand. His hands moved with blinding speed, becoming mere afterimages. Extracting demon aura, drawing demon souls, shattering them, infusing with ancient god power, each motion executed with masterful precision. Faster. Though already working at incredible speed, he was still far from the number of runes needed for a 9th-grade burial platform. And under his spiritual sense, for auras were rapidly approaching. They had clearly locked onto his position, and they were closing in fast. Soon, the void in the distance erupted with a sonic boom. A colossal burial platform, 7,000 zhang wide, appeared in an instant. Upon it stood a graceful woman in pink robes, her every gesture exuding allure. Even before she arrived, a flirtatious laugh drifted over. Her laughter carried a seductive moan and an unspeakable charm. It entered Wang Lin's ears, shaking his mind. For a moment, visions of the past stirred. Those enchanting memories from the vermilion bird tomb with willow eyebrows flickered in his thoughts. That sudden disturbance while crafting runes made Wang Lin's expression pale. His eyes turned icy, staring coldly at the oncoming burial platform and the woman upon it. Drawing on his 2,000 years of Tao cultivation and the pain wrought by the consequences of the vermilion bird tomb incident, he forcefully suppressed the wave of emotion. His gaze grew darker. The instant the woman arrived, Wang Lin stood and stepped back with blinding speed, retreating deeper into the vortex. Amid the howling winds, he pushed another 100 zhang forward, sat cross-legged, and without sparing her a glance, shut his eyes and continued crafting runes. So it's you, little thing. What a pity. If I hadn't already taken Tuasin, I might have been reluctant to hurt you. The woman in pink giggled softly, though a flicker of surprise passed through her eyes. She stole a subtle glance toward the chaotic vortex deeper in, where the ancient demon seemed to rest. Her gaze grew grave. Her laughter seemed ordinary but was laced with Taoist arts. Yet Wang Lin, after only a brief daze, recovered instantly. This stirred a strange thought in her mind. Could it be? This little one has never been touched by a woman? Her eyes lit up with interest. She ran her delicate tongue across her lips, her giggle growing even more coquettish. Then, with a graceful sway, she stepped into the vortex and rushed straight toward Wang Lin. At the same time, in the distant void, the Nine Heavens demon Venerable put away the burial platform and stepped forward. His expression was dark, his speed incredibly fast. In the blink of an eye, he was near the vortex and stepped into it.